Hello, Thomas again. Since last video, a lot has changed. Back then, the program was a mere proof of concept. Only the bare minimum worked, which was creating a hierarchy of sprites and animating those. And now this month, I intended to make this a lot more robust, more a real editor thing. There's the mode. So there's a design versus animate mode. Typical for this kind of software. When you're in design mode, you create or edit the skeleton, so place bones below other bones and move them and set stuff and then add sprites to the bones. And then when you're done, then you go to animate, and then you get this dope sheet, and you can, without ruining your skeleton, just turn joints and stuff like that and make animations and key them so they can become a dope sheet of an animation. Also added was bones, so now you can edit bones. So for instance, if I make this quick and dirty guy, something like this, these are all bones, so they're not in a hierarchy yet, and that's hard to do, so I'm not going to do that because I prepared something that's entirely done. So I'm going to load that in a while because this takes quite a long while, because you can't rename bones yet, so you have to guess and select and see, so that's not very handy yet. That needs to be addressed. But as you can see, bone 0 now has a few children, so if I move them or rotate, the children come along. So that's the point, of course. I'm gonna put them back. 0, you can change the length. Oh, that's okay, yeah. Let's do that. So the length of bones can be changed. The properties, I found it very handy to go Blender style at this. So you can drag with the mouse, you can press shift to increase the sensitivity of this, stuff like that. And by now I have done quite a few manipulations of the document. So I can, well, no, I'm gonna go in animate first. So let's, for instance, say we're gonna auto key this dude, not keeping it simple, and then move it. I'm gonna show you a more complicated animation in a while. So let's just do something that doesn't make sense, but that's okay. So you saw that in the previous video, you can make animations with sprites, and now also with bones. And then of course you can, if I go to design mode, I can add some graphics. I've got prepared a few, so I'm gonna add this one and this one. It doesn't really matter because I'm just showing very quickly. Are there other bones? Yeah, there, this one. I just need a few stripes. It doesn't matter that the names don't match. Just want to show you a bit. So now I have a little bit more of a skeleton. So now you can see that the sprites go along. By the way, this is additive or something. So if you have a design and you move it, no, I'm gonna show you first where it's now. So now it's quite straight, and the animation adds angles to it. So if I go to design and I decide that the resting pose is a bit more like this, I'm gonna ignore these guys, like this, and then we go to animate. You see that it also has shifted because it's added. The animation is added. I saw that other software does it like that too, and that's, I think, quite good if you're mistaken a little bit and you're adjusting your resting pose in design, that everything isn't getting corrupt for your animation. So that is a change that I made too. Auto key, you saw auto key. So auto key is just a matter of you get these recording corners and everything you do is stored. So if I do this and then do that, as you can see, it doesn't really matter. There you go. Well, it's a bit weird because it seems to be rotating with the torso, but that's okay. You get the point. And now I did this a bit deliberately because I wanted to have a lot of changes. So I have a history panel like in Photoshop or other graphical software. So because I made the undo redo system quite, because it smelled like something that could potentially give a lot of bugs if I didn't get it right. So I made it right. I spent a lot of effort, about 2 weeks, half a month on this. And in memory, you actually track each state. Well, it's the delta, so it's the difference. It's a command pattern based undo system for the technical people. But now you can go all the way back to nothing and all the way back to where we were. There we go. So this came free with the undo system. So you may think this is not a priority, but it's not much more than showing a list of what is already there in memory. So I decided to go for it. It's cool. So what's next? I created a full saving and loading workflow kind of deal. So the editor now is quite mature, like other applications. It tracks modifications, it lets you save them. If there's no file, it asks you for a file, stuff like that. A lot of small things that actually are a bit of work. But so now I can save it. Let's see. I'm gonna save it here. This is rubbish, so I'm gonna call it rubbish. Gonna save it. Gonna go new, so everything is gone. I'm gonna open it again. Rubbish. There we go. And we go to animate. The history is reset. I did that deliberately. In fact, I could add it to the save file, like some graphic applications. It wouldn't be that much effort, but I think it's not really useful. So this works. And now I prepared a bit more decent thing. So this is a stick guy or something, how do you call it? And I made a little jumping animation. So I'm gonna just show you. So he jumps and falls down and straight up. So this is more or less it for the editor. Of course, a lot of small things have changed too, but I'm not going to show you each and everything. The video is getting long. So when you save this animation, I made a runtime, a first runtime in MonoGame. So when you save here, well, it's already saved, of course. Save as, you save as a pose file. And then just the engine I wrote in MonoGame just loads that. I made a bunch of code that does it in a much more performance first way, of course, than this one. The editor does it in a lot more editable way. Everything is still editable, not at runtime, of course. So things are optimized. And can I show my Visual Studio? Where is it? I'm gonna drag it on. So this is Visual Studio. It's gonna be a bit bigger. I have a 1200 vertical pixels and the video is 1080. So, but I made, where is it? Where's the animation? Well, I'll help it a little. Stop. So now I'm gonna show you demo 2. There we go. F5 filling, and there we go. And this is how many? 5,000 of the little guys. You saw it switch because I have a 4K monitor on the other side, and Windows gets confused a bit. But that's so this is more or less saturating my as you can see. So it is almost 16 milliseconds, but who the hell animates 5,000 dudes? Maybe show the code. So you load content in here. This is all my framework, so you need a texture store, which allows my engine, the pose runtime, to get textures. So there's a sprite store. A sprite is a bit more than a texture. A texture is just the PNG loaded into video memory. The sprite is a bit more. It knows a bit more about the texture. The skeleton definition factory is the main factory, so the builder that takes your pose file, so the file you edited in the editor, you load it, and this is where your animations and stuff and the skeleton hierarchy reside. This is not an instance, this is just definition, as it says. And then you can at runtime create instances of that skeleton, and that's what you use the factory for. So the pose runtime, the core stuff, you give it the quad renderer, which is a renderer I made, a high performance renderer for sprites. MonoGame already has sprite batch for that, but I need to be able to transform the sprites in ways that the sprite batch doesn't support, so I made it from scratch. This is basically a triangle, send triangles to the GPU, which I can add more stuff to later, transformations and stuff like that. This is something that you need to do, doesn't matter. The blend state, okay. So once you have a runtime, I made it, well, as you can see, multi-core. You can disable this because multi-core, rendering a multi-core, if you only have like 10 or 20 animated things, that's gonna cost more overhead to go multi-core than it has profit. So only when you're doing what I'm doing, thousands of animations, then it's useful to have multi-core. So once you have a runtime, you just say to the content pipeline, this is something from MonoGame framework, so it's integrating with MonoGame. So you say, hey, give me that demo file, that's just the demo.pose, but without the extension. And I added it with the content manager application from MonoGame as just a file. So it's inside this content file. So it's here. So that's all standard MonoGame. This is an extension method that I made, and then you get a pose document, and with that you can create a skeleton definition. So that reads the animation and skeleton stuff, and then with the skeleton definition you can add skeletons according to the definition. So I do this 5,000 times. I add a skeleton with a position which changes depending on which skeleton, which instance it is. And I think this is the angle, yes, because all the little guys are in random rotations, as you can see at runtime. Et voila, that's it. You more or less on the update, I just say for demo purposes, start animation rest, because the default animation is called rest in pose. I think I can show you that animation. Oh yes, there are two rests. That's a little bug, doesn't matter, but it's called rest. So start that animation. You have to give it the time. I make it a little offset so that not all skeletons start at the same point in the animation, so that there's more diversity. And then in the draw of MonoGame, where we need to render, we do a clear. We say, I move the camera to a certain zoom. That's a runtime feature, a pose feature. And then I say, just draw everything you know about, which is all the skeletons I defined earlier, I created earlier. And then there's a little bit of performance monitoring, which is these lines, and that's it. Then you get this. So, well, as you can see, we're almost at a point where I can release this to the public. So that's about it. I'm gonna continue my work, and I think maybe in a month or so, we will reach at least MVP, but more likely large part of the comfort milestone too. So I'll keep you updated. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.